If you listen to the show, you already know that we cannot exist without our sponsors. They are the ones who make things happen behind the scenes. So let's acknowledge Fuji Sports. We've been working with these guys for a while now, not only as far as this podcast is concerned, but also at the RŌL Academy. We've had their gear. I personally use their gis. What a phenomenal product.
Yeah, I mean, Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, MMA, tape, bags, anything you need for your Jiu-Jitsu journey, you can find at fujisports.com.
Let's talk RŌL TV. There's so much content on there. It's ridiculous at this point. But I think what is even more intriguing, as time went on during the project, we've been recording most of the events that were taking place here at RŌL Academy. At this point, I mean, we have guys like Chris Howder, Armin Fati, Rafael Lovato Sr., and Pete the Greek. I mean, there are so many different events that we've kind of recorded it. Don't you think that's amazing? I mean, points of reflection and kind of going back for all the students to see what really happened and refresh their memory.
Yeah, I think it's great, you know, being able to go back and look at all these high-level practitioners, Octavio Cudo, like one of the names you didn't mention. And I mean, just these guys that have been doing this for so long come in, teach these amazing seminars and workshops, and it's all recorded and there for you to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to get additional savings on all this, type in code RŌL Radio at the coupon and get additional 30% off of your membership.
Nice. Go to rolacademy.tv. What's up, everyone, and welcome back. If you haven't already, please remember to hit the like, share, subscribe, download, listen, and whatever other button there is, and leave us a review wherever you do listen. That ensures that we can continue bringing you the great guests and amazing content that you've come to expect. Today's guest is here to discuss his responsibility to Jiu-Jitsu, why it is okay not to know, the biggest lesson he learned from Eddie Bravo, and the importance of keeping Jiu-Jitsu fun. Here's the RŌL Radio with Eddie Bravo, black belt, former strength and jiu-jitsu coach on The Ultimate Fighter Season 11, and owner-instructor of 10th Planet West Los Angeles, Scott Epstein.
Welcome to RŌL Radio.
Here we go.
I'm a filthy animal. I'll eat my oatmeal with my hands.
Whatever works, man.
And we alive. I
There we
mean, Scott, good to see you again.
Yeah.
We'll try not to mess up this time around. Thanks for being patient with us and through our technical nonsense. So good to see you again. What are you eating, by the way?
He just said oatmeal.
It's oatmeal and it's peanut butter and it's raisins and I think I put cacao in there.
Nice.
I don't know if I have allergies or I'm sick, so I might like blow my nose once in a while. So I woke up and I think it's, what is it? Feed a cold, starve a fever?
Starve a fever? I think so. Yeah,
Am
I think
doing
that's
it backwards? Right. I hope I'm doing it right. I'm hungry, so I don't know. I might just be out like some weird ass allergies.
Yeah, I don't think you should ever starve anything. That's my opinion. But I'm not a doctor.
I'm hungry, so that's a good sign. Because sometimes you get sick, you're like, I can't eat, or you know.
Yeah.
And you're super tired. I went to sleep pretty early, and I had my nose got like clogged up last night. Hi, Mom.
This episode's going places.
Yeah.
But before we got on, you were talking about the drum set that's behind you. I mean, you covering it right now, but there it is.
Well, there's a painting, and then I don't know what.
There, yeah. Oh, yeah. So talk about the drum set.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I wanted to play the drums. My dad, he always wanted to play the drums. He never did. And so we got me some drum lessons because I was down, and I wasn't down, you know, because I thought I was be a rock star like day one. I thought I was gonna be like Neil Peart doing Tom Sawyer, you know.
But that's how it happens overnight, right?
And I got 2 sticks and a fucking pad, and some fucking nerd was teaching.
Yeah,
me.
I remember.
Mark.
I started taking piano lessons, and we didn't have a piano, so I had this fold out keyboard, like it was paper. It was paper, so you were supposed to just push down on the piece of paper where the notes are, And obviously, I mean, I was like, this is the dumbest thing ever. And then it wasn't the size either. So when you would go later in the week and sit in front of the piano, like nothing lined up.
The proportions,
the proportions were off. So it's like, and as a I don't know, 4th, 5th grader, I was like, this is ridiculous. What am I doing here? Why are we doing this? So I folded it back up one day and never opened it up again. So, and then I had a drum pad and sticks from a buddy, and I was like, this is nonsense. I'm not doing this either. But
I mean, you actually play, huh?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Who?
No,
yeah,
you.
I could play.
I don't play.
Yeah, I can play the drums. So like, yeah, I got into that, and then like for my birthday, it was 13. Okay, it was 13. So my dad was still alive. 13th birthday, they're like, you can do a bar mitzvah, and I'm like not a real Jew. Like I'm Jewish, and so I didn't do any of the stuff. And I'm like, all right. They're like, you're gonna get a lot of money from all these people. Do this, your 13th birthday. It's a Jewish thing, whatever. And I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, I'm down with money. And then they're like, okay, we're going to set you up. You got to go to this Hebrew school. I'm like, school? Like, yeah, you got to go to Hebrew. I'm like, why? I already go to this school. They're like, well, you got to learn this and that. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, can't I do that without? No, you have to learn this and this. I'm like, so then I start negotiating. I'm like, all right, how much is this drum set? And we go to the drum store and this and that. I'm like, what if we just got this instead of the bar mitzvah? That way you guys don't got to pay to have me go to Hebrew school. And my parents are like, fuck yeah. So they got me a cool tama. Like, I think it was like a wood. It was all wood, like oak or something. It was like, for like 1989 or whatever the hell year it was. My dates are off for 87. It was in the 80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
The drum set was like $4,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
That's insane. Yeah. I bought a $700 bass back then. And I thought that was crazy. So.
And I'm just some stupid kid who took some drum lessons. But then we did, I think, my mom, after my dad passed, I remember she had some woman years later that was a drummer, some girl or whatever, that came to the house and taught me how to play like, what was it? Was it a Def Leppard song, like with the cowbell, Pyromania, whatever that song is.
I could still play part of it. Foolin' is the one with the cowbell.
And it's before he lost his arm.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to look it up. Keep talking.
I remember I learned how to play that. And then like I had a neighbor who was like the hero to the neighborhood and he could play the drums. He was just like a big athletic kid so he taught me some shit. And then I've always been able to play somewhat. Like I played at my friend's house recently when he had like some dude with rapping and some other instruments that I was like, I'll play. And I could keep up. And the guy was like, oh, are you in a band? I'm like, no, dude, I played drums when I was like 12, like 13. But you're in the car and you're tapping around, I could do paradiddles and shit and whatever. But like, yeah, I'm not like a legit drummer. Apparently, like there's a guy, I don't know his real name. He's from the band Edema. He was the drummer. I feel bad if he hears this. I can't remember his name, but I know what band he's from. And he's into Jiu-Jitsu. And he would like write me every once in a while on like Instagram or some Facebook. And he was like, dude, just play for 1 year. You'll be amazing. I was like, he's like, I'll teach you. But I think he lives like in Crackville, like some Palm Desert area or some shit. Cause I was going to flip him like jiu-jitsu lessons and be like, hey, like once a week or whatever. It never happened, but he was like, yeah, in 1 year, you'll be fucking gold. So it might be something I get back into. I don't know. But the drums are there. They're for me to look at and go, okay, sit down and play. But sit down and play on those drums is a little more because I have to plug things in. They're electric. And then I have to I should plug them in and I should not put them on headphones because I have a tenant upstairs. So we have these are really big condos in. There's 10 units here and they're high ceiling. Like mine's like an 18-foot high ceiling or 19-foot high ceiling. And it's like 2,000 square feet, the whole place. And it's like loft style. So above me, there's another unit. Fucking guy's great, the owner, but he's not here. He's renting it or whatever he's doing, subletting. And the fucking guy that's up there now, it's like he has no knees and walks on his heels and weighs 400 pounds. I've seen him. He's not a big heavy guy. I'm like, what are you doing up there? And he's up at like 6:30 in the morning and thud, 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 thud. Like he's got like old roller skates on, but he can't skate. He's like clunking. I'm gonna fucking kill this guy. I've written him like the first few emails are threatening. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna fuck you up. Like, please stop. And now he's got quieter, but still. And then it's like 1 in the morning and he's clunking. I'm like, what's it? I sleep like 3 hours a day. And he's just bad. So I kind of should plug him in and start blasting the drums again. Like, I don't know. He's like a vampire. I'll just play the drums during the day and fuck him up.
So what I'm hearing from you is that if this jiu-jitsu thing doesn't work out, you're going to be a pro drummer, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's my next step.
That's
fucking 49 years old.
Yeah.
With Rod Stewart, right? Like, I'm in the band, guys. I made it.
I think what's interesting about your story between the drumming part, but also the jiu-jitsu side is you dip your hands into quite a bit of things. You've done some MMA, with some success right there, right? There's some experience, and then obviously well accomplished in the jiu-jitsu area. So how did this all start? Like, how did you get on the mat?
Well, I'll backstep a little bit. When I find something interesting, I just try it. I don't go with the intention of I'm going to be the best, or I have to be the best, or I go, that looks fun. I'll keep going. Some things I really do have a drive and desire for, and I stick with those. And I don't ever feel like I quit something. Like, oh, you quit doing that, or like, I didn't quit. I just lost interest, And it's like, I have ADD, which I didn't realize until recently. My mom told me. My mom was like, oh, you have ADD. I'm like, I do? She's like, yeah, we knew in first grade. I'm like, fuck you. You didn't tell me.
She knew this entire time, but she didn't tell you?
She has ADHD, and she's fucking trying to cure her shit, or whatever that means, And I'm like, I was like, oh, no, you don't, Ma. You're just, out there. She's like, no, I told her, whatever. Anyway, so I guess it's in the family. So I just always thought, like, this is boring. Move on. I'm not interested. If I'm interested, though, I can hyper-focus. So I don't fully have it. Stop chewing the fucking chair. Stop it.
I guess you're not interested in this.
No, the dog. Dude,
what kind of dog do you have?
We went over this the other day. He's got 2 dogs, yeah.
Yeah, and the little one, the puppy, stop it. She's an asshole. She's purposely gnawing on these overpriced wood chairs. I got the chairs because they go with the bar that I'm sitting at, right, which is an island. It's an island with the stove and all that, and I had it extended and put in this fancy overpriced wood, so it's got that butcher block style, blah, blah, blah. No one cares. Anyway, I bought these overpriced chairs accidentally because I thought it was like a set for the price. A chair shows up. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, where's the rest of the chairs? And I just didn't understand the ad. I was on Wayfair trying to get children, and I got a chair instead. And I don't know if that went over everyone's head.
I get it.
Yeah. It is my hopefully allergies. Anyway, so she's gnawing on the chair, and she shouldn't be. Be a good girl. Be a good girl.
That's what they do. That's what they do.
Yeah, so but anyway, my point is, like, I also discovered that, like, something like painting, I can be out there for like 8 hours, 9 hours, 7 hours, 5 hours, and not like need to stop. I'm just like hyper focused, like looking at my point of reference, depending on what it is, and I just keep going. Like, I don't want to paint something for a week, but like the one that's behind me, the Joker Batman thing, I don't know if you see that?
Yeah, we see it. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So, that's like a 4 foot by 3 foot painting. There's an upcoming show. So, that took me longer than normal, only because I have to do multiple layers and let ones dry. So, like, I was patient with that. I painted the background, let it dry, because it's mostly spray paint the background, and acrylic and oil, they don't work together if you put one on top of the other. So the brush paints are acrylic paint. That spray paint might have oil in it. So I let it dry. That's day 1. I just walked away, which is hard for me. And then I come back and I do Batman, day 2. No big deal. But I got to let Batman dry, because when I got a process that I do with tape and this and that, so that I have blocked out pieces that I don't paint on again. And then I put the Joker on and I remove whatever I have on there to block out Batman. So that's day 3. So it's literally a 3-day painting. I don't really, like, it's hard for me to do. I was able to do it. but most of the time, I want to start and I want to finish in one session.
How do you deal with that? How do you process that? There's just the fact that you have to pause and then you have to come back. That has to be difficult, no?
I initially don't think I have to, and then I have to, and I'm like, okay, it's okay. It's not going nowhere. It's right in front of me. The thing is, it's even harder to be like, okay, do I want to sit here for X amount of time and open up the paints and blah, blah, blah. Like, if it was just spray paint, it's a lot easier because it's already set. Like, I just put the cap on or different caps on and start going. But with acrylic paints and brushes and you got to mix water. I'm so fucking lazy with this shit. Like, if I forget water, I'm spitting on the paint. So I'm spitting. I'm just literally, you can see on camera if it's a time lapse, you just see me leaning over. I'm dripping spit because I'm too lazy to walk fucking 20 feet and get to work.
Do you charge more for those paintings?
I do because I tell them my DNA is in every painting.
I love it. Right. So I know Thomas is itching to get this probably a little pointing towards jiu-jitsu.
No, this is awesome. This is
well. Then I do have a question.
Yeah,
and I usually don't about jiu-jitsu.
Hold on, blowing.
Blow.
It's like special sound effects.
So
I took fucking Benadryl allergy because I was hoping it was allergies, but I don't feel that tired and I'm still running. So my nose.
Here we go. So jiu-jitsu, was that something that you were like, I am interested in this? Or was there a point where you were like, not interested, I don't think I'm going to keep going? Or was it like, no? Because we talked to a ton of people where it's like, oh, day one, I was hooked and all that,
I wanted it before I did it. So I went in, it was like 90, I don't know, maybe 97-ish. I don't know. I was almost 22 years old. I'm 48 right now. I'll be 49 in October. And so whatever year that is, I don't know, 90 something. And I had already known of jiu-jitsu because watching the UFC. And I had a little bit more insight than the average viewer because I had, through a friend, befriended Joe Gold. Do you know Joe Gold?
I don't know.
So Joe Gold is the guy who started Full Contact Fighter newspaper.
Okay.
The first MMA publication, I believe. And he's just some fucking Guido. I don't know if he's a Guido, but he's a fucking guy, like this little tiny guy. Hey, yo, whoa. From Queens. He's like my neighbor. And we go to his house and train, and it was more striking, but he was very aware, and he did, like, I think he did the documentary about Mark Kerr, the Beast Mark Kerr. I think he's the one who did that. Yeah. So Full Contact FCF was his shit. It still is. He's still around. And so he got to know these people. He was at the fights taking pictures and shit. So I had a little more at the very early stages of UFC. Not one or two, but like right past that. Through that guy, I had a little bit more insight and understanding, like, no, this is the shit you got to learn. Like, and for me back in the day, if my memory serves, I would see Hoist come out with his karate outfit. That's what that was to me. I was like, why is this? And he's all like skinny in the face and tall and he looked like a fucking dork to me. And I'm like, this guy's done. And then and every time, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta learn what this guy's doing. That's just the best. Fuck yeah, Hoist Gracie. Fuck that. Those guys are the best. Holy shit. So then I did some digging through like the yellow pages back then, because I mean the internet was around, but it wasn't really, it was like chat groups and shit. I don't even know if it was like pre-MySpace. And I found there was a Henzo, and I think it was Henzo Kukuk at the time when they were together. Do you know about that or no? So Henzo and Kukuk, I don't know what happened to that guy, but and then it was Fabio Clemente, which wasn't Fabio Clemente. It was like an affiliate of Hegan and John. It was like RCJM Jiu-Jitsu. Like, I think it was.
Yeah, it was before he opened his own place. They brought him out to New York to open their first school there.
Which one? Hegan?
Yeah, I think so. I'd have to look. We had Fabio on. I'd have to look at the show notes. I don't remember. It was a while ago.
I don't know, whatever. So I went into this RCJ, whatever it was. I might have a T-shirt upstairs. And Started training there. You know, it was a gi gym. Didn't really think. I was like, okay, this is what I got to do. And I just kept doing it. And I got excited to get better. I remember my first day in there. This kid, Ira, showed me like some stuff. I learned an armbar and maybe a triangle before from my friend Chris, who trained with I think he trained with Matt Serra on Long Island for a little bit. Who's still a friend of mine, this kid Chris. He got to like purple belt and quit. But I learned those two things from Chris, and then I went in, and Babs, who's a superstar now. If you look up Babs, I don't know how to spell his last name. He's like in the Star Trek show now. He's like the lead. He's in all these movies. He's a little bit older than me, black guy from like Nigeria, but grew up in Brazil. A super cool dude. He was like a blue belt, but he was a ninja, and he was showing me stuff the first day, and he did the right thing. He was like, "You're gonna be good at this." I could tell already. Like he would show 5 parts. He'd go, "You could skip the first 3. Just go to this." I'm like, "Why?" Is it because you already have it? And I was like, so it could have been like business, you know, or it could have been like, oh shit, I kind of got a knack for this thing. So it made me feel better than I did as a kid growing up in school and going, I don't understand. I can't learn this. I don't want to do this. It's not for me. I'm dumb. And then you go into a place and you're like, I'm special. You know, not like special, but like I got some shit.
Mm-hmm.
I could do this. And I still have a weird, not good, but sometimes really good memory. Depends on what it is. And for me to remember the guy's name, Ira, who I did not see, like he told me that day, he goes, dude, you're going to catch me in like a guillotine, like in the next 3 months. And he was like, oh, you know, 3-stripe, 4-stripe, white belt, whatever it was. Is it 4 stripes? And I was like, no way. Like this guy's just teaching me all this shit. He's the man, you know? And, it was like to that day, like 3 months later, I got him with a guillotine. Now, there's so much shit that happened after, before, between in jiu-jitsu that is just a wash. I don't remember. I met that person. I remember that guy, Ira. He helped me the first day. I remember Babs telling me I was doing good. And then it was maybe 2 years ago, the gym here, my gym. And this guy shows up and he's like from Long Island and his name's Ira. And I'm like laughing. I'm like, yeah, right. No shot. You went to Fabio's like 20 years ago. He's like, what, New York? I'm like, you doing the Spider-Man thing? I'm like, shut the fuck up. He didn't even remember me.
Mm-hmm.
He knew who I was in jiu-jitsu. He knew who I was from whatever. He knew of me.
He didn't remember that first day.
That me. Yeah. I'm like, dude, like you're the guy. Like, fucking please start training here. Let me help. Let me make you, like, come on, let's do this. And he showed up like a class of 2 and who knows what happened to him. But, you know, he was my guide and I'll always be thankful and remember him. And I'll always be thankful for Babs, and Fabio, who ran the gym, and guys at that gym. But yeah, there's a lot of gaps. So anyway, long-winded. I apologize. But I like to be detailed.
What do you think was so appealing about jiu-jitsu when you step on the mat for the first time? You know, and way back in, you know, early 2000s or even, you know, 90 something, whichever, you know, year that was. I mean, jiu-jitsu was very different, especially in New York, especially the Hands of Gracie camp over there. You know, it's not what it is today. The environment, the way how it was taught, you know, you walk in there. What's so appealing about it?
I touched upon it. It was like, oh, here's this skinny, you know, nerdy looking guy.
Yeah.
Who's just going to like throw a bottle of water at me. Oh, that takes sense. But, you know, fucking up these like big, like bodybuilder looking guys who back then you're like, oh, the big muscle guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you're the big muscle guy, you can fuck shit up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're the big muscle guy, I just think you're gay. Like if you're like jacked and wearing tight clothes, I'm like, oh, he's gay. I'm not even like in a mean way. I'm just like, oh, that's a gay dude. Like who the fuck fucking sits in the gym flexing the bike? Like no one cares about that. And so I was like, so the gay guys are gonna fuck up these karate looking dudes. And then, but back then they were the tough guys. So I saw that and I was like, that's appealing as fuck because I don't consider myself like a martial artist. Like I don't have a shrine of Bruce Lee and I don't know history of a lot of things outside of jiu-jitsu. I feel like I fall more into the place of like someone went to school and did wrestling, you know, like which you could say, oh well, that's emotional, whatever. We could split hairs all we want. I wasn't like bow to your sensei at all. I don't have like my belts are literally on the floor in the garage. The only belt I don't have is.
But wait a minute. So like, okay, so hoist is appealing to you. You start training, but what's the purpose here? Like, what are you trying to be the little guy who fucks everybody all around? Like, you want to be the tough guy? You want to beat it? Like, is there an anger built up over there over the years? Like, what's in your head? Like,
yeah. So I got into jiu-jitsu because what is the easiest way to fuck someone up? Was I looking for fights then? Nah, not really at 21. I wasn't looking for them, but and to this day, I'm ready to finish them. And I'm a little not as quick as I was, but I'll go. Like I'm down. Like whatever, let's do this. I'm just more fearful now. I have more to lose. I've been in bad places physically, like hospitalized, more than once. I've been in cuffs, and now I have money. So fuck someone up. Next thing you know, well, there goes fucking $200,000 out of my bank. And also, I'm more fearful because it's like I don't want to get like stabbed. I don't want to get shot. I feel like everyone's got a gun now, and they're very excited to use it, and they're scared to fight. And then you got the people that are brave, that think they want to fight until they get hit, and they're like, well, or until you put your hands up, and they're like, wait, what? Hold on, let's just call each other pussy a bunch. You don't want to just go back and forth? You're pussy. No, you're a bitch. You're a bitch. No, you're a bitch. I'll fuck you up. I'll fuck you up. And then we walk away. Right? But when I was younger, it was game on, and it was by any means necessary, man. There's a fucking chair next to me. I'm hitting you with it. Like, so back then, when I first started, it wasn't like I wasn't looking for the fight, but I knew that I wanted to be able to most efficiently finish it. And I had started training when I was 17, almost 18, like 17, almost going 18, with Ray Longo in Long Island, and Mike Ryan, who was I guess the co-owner or his employee, who was a kickboxer. So I was just more doing striking. I was introduced to some grappling. There's like a blue belt who came in from who's the old school guy from? Not from, but I had the gyms in Utah.
In Utah? I don't know.
Like way back. He's like a name that we all know. Sort of like one of those like Salo Ribeiro guys, but it wasn't. It was a dude. He ran the maybe even a Hickson affiliates in I think it was Salt Lake City. So anyway, one of our Long Island guys went there for a couple of years, came back. He's a blue belt. So Ray's like, hey, Eppo, why don't you stay after class and you do some rolls with this guy? And I'm like, okay, Ray. And I don't know, I'm just grabbing headlocks and squeezing and doing. I'm like, I'll fucking kill this dude. And like, I don't realize Ray's like, stop. I'm like, what? And like, my arm's being hyperextended, but I don't realize because I'm trying to pick him up and slam him and go crazy. And then like, it was like, here's what just happened. And I was like, oh shit, you put me in that thing? Oh, I saw that. I didn't even know I was in that. Like, it was like a few seconds off of being choked or armbar. And I was like, so that was my introduction to it. We didn't do much there, but I was into striking. And it was the same thing. I got into striking because at that time, like, what's going to make me a problem? And at 17, I was down to swing. Like, I was ready to just fight anyone.
So is this at some point where the MMA comes in as an outlet to do some of the fighting?
No, MMA. By the time I did MMA, I didn't want to fight. I mean, I was a bit on edge and angry, but which is not the best way to go into MMA.
Why were you so angry?
I don't know. My uncle touched me. I don't know. I don't fucking. I hate my uncle. Steve, it's a joke, Steve. But
you only have one uncle, so now he knows who you're talking about.
He's like, what, me? I didn't.
But that's going to be interesting Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah. But I don't really. I don't know. I think just, I don't know if it's, like, I didn't have a bad life. My parents did well.
Some people are just,
I wasn't angry because my dad died when I was 13. I was angry and a troublemaker before that. I was the appeal, causing trouble or almost or getting away with things was very appealing to me. I also think I looked up to people that I thought were like untouchable, or gangsters, were tough, whether in movies or at home. Oh, we hang out with these guys, and these guys fuck those guys up. Cool, we're with the winning team. And so I think when I was a kid, it was really appealing to me. It was attractive to me to know that these people could fuck people up and that I can also get the same respect. I was like a little tiny kid. And now I know some like big ass goon who plays baseball now probably just looked at me like, that's a little kid. I'll dump him in a garbage can. Like, he's not doing shit. But those guys I would run up on, what's up? You got beef? Like swinging and shit. And they're like intimidated, but at the same time, they just didn't grow up like me, and they weren't like going to hit some kid who's like half their size. They feel like an idiot. I just thought I was scary. But then, because I was willing to use weapons when I was a kid, people also like, it was a deterrent. And I hung out with a bunch of other kids that were also willing to do the same things. And that was like our pastime. We hung out in packs. And if there was a problem, we would jump the person. We would get jumped. There were stabbings. There were shootings. It was everything that like you would put in like a movie about New York City in the 80s, 90s. Like,
it sounds like Basketball Diaries, right?
Yeah, they're kind of like Warriors without. Like,
oh, nice, even better.
And you're in this crew, and you got problems with this crew. We weren't taking the subway from neighborhood to neighborhood, and there wasn't a radio announcer telling everyone what was going on. But no, that was my baseball, which, hey, I'm alive. Some of my friends are gone.
Does Jiu-Jitsu help with all of this as an outlet as time goes on?
Probably. I think for me, I was just getting older, and less interested in that lifestyle. And everyone was like moving on. Like, we just still hung out, but not as in the same type of packs. By the time I was like 18, 19, it kind of fell by the wayside. But I think for like someone who's a parent and has a kid, get that kid into jiu-jitsu wrestling immediately, because they'll understand I can beat up all these people now. So I'm not going to do things to get me into situations where I need to feel to prove to others that I'm strong, or I'm tough, or I'm macho, or whatever the fuck word you want to use.
Yeah.
For me, maybe if I did it as a little kid, maybe because I was so much littler. When I don't know if you did this in your schools, like when you line up to go from one class to the other, or to go to the auditorium, whatever, lunch from your classroom. I'm talking like 5th grade and down.
Mm-hmm.
I would always be the first kid in the line because I was the shortest. Fortunately, I mean, I'm not like tall, but I grew up normal size. I'm like 5'8". I'm not fucking 5'2". And I think that I probably had a chip on my shoulder about that, and just was like, okay, I'll go after the biggest kid, because now I feel I'm the biggest kid.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially, I don't know, but you got some little shit, and let them get some wrestling, jiu-jitsu. I don't know. I think nowadays with the kids, they don't want to do shit. They want to watch they want to play games on their iPad or whatever.
Yeah.
Sucked into that, and they don't want to manage time. They want to talk back to their parents and be little shits, and then they don't want to do anything. It's not exciting. Like, if you would have told me at like 9, 10 years old or 8 years old, like, hey, you want to become like a ninja? Wink, wink. Like, what do I do? Like, look at this. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. Like, I had a Thai boxing when I was a baby, and I was like, teach me that. I want to do it. My parents like. If I figured it was going to cost a bunch of money, we'd go twice, and they'd spend the money in a month, and I wouldn't show up.
Yeah. Well, there's just so many distractions for kids now, right? To go to wrestling or jiu-jitsu or anything like that, they got to put in work, and they got to be uncomfortable. Where at home sitting with their iPad, they don't have to be, and it's easy, and they're in this little fantasy world of whatever game they're playing. So just a different world.
It.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone gets worn down, I guess, you know, if you're a kid. And not, like the things my puppy gets away with now, she wouldn't have got away with first 2 weeks and I've been stressed out. Now I'm like, all right, whatever, you know?
Yeah. What were you going to say, Thomas?
Well, I was about to ask. So, like, how do you stumble upon the MMA? Because it like, as an outsider, it seems like this would be the perfect outlet for you to kind of, you know, get some of that physical engagement and that aggression out, right?
Yes and no. So yes, but the no part is because, well, now I know this fights are going to happen. I'm waiting for it. I'm anticipating. It's another trained person. They got a shot. So I become like, stressed out, you know, anxious. And this was, you know, that's for the MMA side. But primarily it was like, hey, the jerk off who was walking extra slow crossing the street while I'm sitting at a change of light, like staring at me all angry. I'm like, well, now I'm getting out the fucking car, homeboy. Oh, now you move fast, right? I don't want like some pro fighter crossing the street and be like, what's up? My offense. Shit, all right, let me get something out the car. You know, like I don't want to deal with this.
Well, then in that case, why did an MMA start? What was the reason behind that?
So I was training with Eddie Bravo at Bomb Squad, the first 10th Planet gym.
Yeah.
And he brought like a lot of guys would come visit that were like UFC fighters or in I guess Pride, or maybe Pride was over then. But like, you know, fighters from Japan and like bad motherfuckers. I'm not gonna say
what year is
names.
this? Is this pre 2010?
Yeah.
I assume it is, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the first Yeah, pre 2010. So it was the first legend. So we've been in for 20 years, 21 years now, almost. So it would be like
early 2000s.
19,
late 90s?
18 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
Early 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah, like let's say 2004 to be safe. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Not that it matters. And these guys would come in the gym, and I was like the pit bull off leash in there, and Eddie would just look at me and go, Einstein, and I'd be like, and I would go after these guys, and a lot of times I didn't know who they were, and then I find out later. I'm like, and so in my head I'm like, wait, I'm fucking mopping up these big deal fighters. It's just jiu-jitsu. We're not doing MMA, but like I could tap these guys that are like superstars, like, and they weren't tapping me, and I was 150 pounds, 55 pounds. The coffee's burping up. I was like, I could do MMA. But the reality is, in my head, it wasn't like I could be a champion in MMA. I'm going to make this my career. I need this as an outlet. It was simply, I don't want to be my age now or older and go, why didn't I fucking do that? There are so many superstars in jiu-jitsu that never touched MMA. And they're going to get old and be like, when I was 25, why not just fucking do one? Let me just, you know, I was so involved. I knew all these people. I trained these fighters, and I never did that shit. Maybe they're not. I just feel like maybe they will, you know. And I knew that even though it's years I haven't fought, and I have no desire to fight, but like, I'm happy that I made that choice, you know. And I'm happy, like, my last pro fight was like televised, and it was they did a documentary about me. And I got sponsorship, and I was, you know, I would go to Vegas and do autograph signings, and after the show came out, and then like and be like sitting next to Jens Pulver, we're signing autographs, like, and like people would just, you know, they're very familiar in our world, so someone I'd never seen, met, talked to will just come right up to me like, yo, what's up, Einstein? And I'm like looking at them, trying to figure out what they look like in a rash guard. So now I go, oh, that's so-and-so. You know?
Putting it all together.
You know, that's Captain Meat Curtains. I know you. You know, and so, you know, I got to taste all that after, and I'm thankful that that happened too. But at the same time, I was like, I don't need to fight again. Like, that was my last fight. I was like, I don't care. There was a chance because I had the fighting movie was coming out, so I started training with at Black House just for MMA stuff because that's all they focused on. But it wasn't really a training camp. It was just like a lot of sparring, no instruction back then. And it wasn't a business model. It was just like fighters would come in from wherever. I had nowhere to stay. So Ed at Black House, he, you know, and the lawyer Nathan and Georgie from Brazil, they had a warehouse that we trained in, that they turned it into a training facility, but they also had places for these guys to sleep or just a place to train pre-fight, especially guys from Brazil. And so that's really what it was. You know, it was kind of like a punching bag for some fucking monsters. But I also did my punching. And so I thought that the point of that, what I was babbling about, is when I thought upon the release of Never Back Down, that it would be mainstream, like more mainstream than it was, like on like in movie theaters, and that would be a good opportunity for money for me to go fight, like because EWC, right, or WEC, I'm sorry, that's what
WEC, yeah.
WEC at the time had 45ers, and UFC didn't, and I was like, okay, well, I'll just do this, and I think it was like Scott, or was it Scott who was the owner or manager of WEC?
No, Scott was Strike Force.
Who the fuck was it then? Who was WEC back then? Jeez, I can't remember. Anyway, whoever was the president.
Oh no, it was
then.
well,
I don't know.
Scott Lober. Yeah, I don't. Doesn't matter.
Anyway, so I would talk to that guy, and we had like this whole thing. I was gonna go fight, and they never actually approached us. But he was the president. We had lunch about it. Like he was like, "We'll do this, and we'll blow you up." And I was like, "Cool, movie's coming out. It can coincide. It's helpful promotion for you guys. That's more marketing than I'll ever be, you know." And it just didn't happen. And then I broke my leg wrestling, like an accident. And then I was like in a cast for like 6 months or something crazy. And then I couldn't really walk properly for almost a year. And
but all
and then
they gave you,
I had
all they gave
PTSD.
you opportunities, right? I think that's the main what I'm hearing from you, like this skill set that you have gained by being a training partner to all the other guys, now gives you the opportunity to be on the stage, and as time goes on, that kind of escalates to where it turns into a monetary benefit, essentially, right? I mean, because that's kind of where all this is going, right?
Yeah, and never thought it would be. If you asked me
Right.
back then, like, you gonna own a gym? I'm like, no. I don't know how to fucking not. Because back then, like, I'm good with sales and business now. Back then, I wouldn't have been. Back then, I was more than willing to be like, the fuck out of here. You could a new person would walk in the door, I'd be like, I don't know, fuck out.
What changed? What changed? It seems like all throughout your life there are these like pivot points where life makes a turn, and you adopt a new skill, you adopt a new environment, you try a new thing, and all that creates more opportunities for the future. What changed? Why did you go from a guy who, well, I don't care, get out of here, to the point of now you owning a successful business?
Oh, it's your livelihood, and you understand, or I understood more, you know. And also, despite the reputation I might have, I don't hate everybody, you know. I'm just less tolerant towards stupidity or things that bother me, and I'll let it be known.
What bothers you?
Everything.
You're supposed to say stupid questions.
Yeah. Brick walls behind. But a lot less bothers me. I'm a lot more empathetic than I was. I'm a bit more patient. But also I understand that, you know, introducing someone to something that's lasted so long and I've been so committed to in my life is only like my responsibility. You know, a lot of people are lost, and they need something stable that they can really focus on. And they also, you know, they want a community that they call home, you know. And some people don't give a shit. Some people, they're just about them, and they don't know. They don't know that this thing would be really good for them. I didn't know.
And you feel a responsibility to show that to certain people?
Yeah, it's, you know, how you give back. Well, this did wonders for me. Well, yes, it is my business, but and I am doing sales, but I'm also not like going, yeah, we have upsell programs, and after this time, you can do your test for your bill. I don't do any of that. Come in your first day, you like it, I'll give you everything I have for what should be 3 times the amount. Just show up. That's what I tell everyone. They're signed up. I don't have a sales pitch. I'm like, okay, look at the schedule for you in your head. Look at it. Figure out at least 3 classes. You'll in times you'll always go to. You'll after a few times doing that, you'll have a habit. You'll autopilot be in the parking lot, even if you had to go do something else. You're like, oh fuck, no, I gotta go. Go to this baby shower or whatever. Fuck, yeah, I don't know. I have to go die right now. I missed my appointment. And so that's really, I want everyone in there to be consistent, but people are people.
Do you think that's the hardest thing for students? The consistency factor, the showing up, just coming in?
No, it's an individual thing. Sometimes it's just not what they want. Sometimes they thought it appealed to them, and then it didn't. They changed their mind, or things in life throw them curveballs, and people are very easily,
Distracted?
I wouldn't say distracted, but it's very easy for them to make excuses. So, oh, well, my job situation, and I moved a mile further. So? Fuck you mean, you moved a mile? And? Are you kidding? So this wasn't for you. You don't want, no, I'm going to train, but I'll probably do somewhere. Oh, okay, cool. Or if it's a money thing.
Is this where you are less empathetic?
Yeah, I'm just like, go drive Uber Eats 1 day a week. Your dues will be here. The time that you're sitting at home, jerking off, you could be potentially making money. I've found one of those motivational guys minus the motivation, but it's like, like I get Gary Vaynerchuk, like, go to yard sales, I implore you to go. I bought this used tissue from Scott for 30 cents, and I flipped it on eBay for $2. Imagine if you spent that. Like just fucking, sometimes egos can't handle it, they just get mopped up too much. I think I might have talked about this. I had a kid who was fine, normal kid. And then one day he goes over to a different gym, starts training there for like cross training, and then he stops coming. And I find out from one of his buddies, well, at that gym, and this kid's still a white belt, he beats the shit out of everyone on the mat doing jiu-jitsu. So he'd rather just stay there.
That's his new spot?
That seems backwards. That's backwards.
So why do you think people do that? Why do we have to be? Why people have to find themselves as on the top of the pyramid? Why do they have to be the best? Why both of you and I, we both know that training with people who are better than you makes you better, right? But like what you're describing is
insecurity. I'm not good enough. But right here, I feel good enough. But over there, I don't feel good enough. But they don't say that in their head. They don't say those words. But if they did, they'd open their eyes and be like, okay. I tell everyone, almost everyone, especially like tough, fit looking dudes. I'm like, not letting you spar today. Like, first day, like, why? I learned some stuff. I watched something. I'm like, we'll do it next time after you sign up. Why? I'm like, because see that 115-pound fucking kid or that girl over there, they're going to tap you today. And then you're going to go into this, it's not all the time, but you're going to go into this place like, man, I didn't want to do that shit anyway. That shit was fucking whack. Like, dude, I got a gun. Like, no one's doing it. I would have punched her in the face. I'm like, sure. Yeah, okay, cool. Well, then don't do it, So if I don't allow you to train your first day, if you don't have any experience, and you sign up, you come back next time, and then you get humbled by a small person, or the nerdiest guy in the room,
But for other people, is
pushing
getting
40, virgin, you can go against him.
But for other people, getting humbled is actually the motivator, no?
We're talking about multiple personalities, though. Not multiple personality disorder, just different people with
different people, right?
Yeah. And you got a lot of people like now it's it's a buzzword, but mental health. And they got mental health issues, and they were raised on participation trophies, and it's super hard. And then some people just they are ADD or ADHD, and you know, especially in LA with the celebrity types.
Yeah.
That's how much I think about them. These guys come in, they want to do 1 million private lessons, they'll pay up front, they want to do whatever the price, and then you sign up all the classes and they buy all the shit. I'm like, this guy's gonna last a week, you know? And because all their other famous friends are doing it at the moment, they follow the crowd. And then one day they're playing fucking pickleball and they quit jiu-jitsu to go play pickleball because that's cool and hot right now. I don't even know what pickleball is. Things like tennis. And,
It's like mini tennis.
yeah, so then they're gone because pickleball.
All right. Well, then let me ask you this. So who makes it? Who sticks around? Who is the good student that you see grinding over a long period of time?
I mean, some of these guys are just quiet and they show up consistently. And if they keep showing up consistently and they ask the right questions and they're not trying to be fuck offs, I've had some great athletes, some stars or stars in the making that sometimes things come too easy for them. They don't have much interest, or because it came easy, they don't feel they have to put as much in for it. They get a false sense of security and confidence because they could beat up another blue belt in class and they always beat them. I'm like, all right. Or they feel like some of the bigger, stronger guys that are supposed to be better are avoiding them, which could be a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, fuck, that guy's a pain in the ass. I don't want to deal with him, because that same bigger, stronger guy, better guy wants to feel valid in his or her jiu-jitsu journey and be able to know I can mop all these guys. I tell these guys in class, I'm like, fine, you have your set of moves that are fucking great. I'm glad they're working for you. But stop doing them to the same people the same way every class unless you're teaching them how to get out of it. And start working on your weaker sides. Find what you suck at. Get good at what you suck at. Even if you don't do it, you can teach it to someone else. Because they may be in that position and you're like, oh, I hate that. I don't know what to do. And you could have coached them through it.
Is that what we should be doing? Working on things that we suck at?
Yeah. Yeah. Or multiple entries to the things you are good at.
Mm-hmm.
You have a good guillotine, but you only get it from one place.
Yeah.
Let's find some more places to get it.
Yeah.
Let's see what works, doesn't work, and then be consistent with that. And hopefully, you work on those entries 2 or 3 from different angles, and that your guillotine is just as good in multiple places as it was in just one place. Because, you've seen it. You get the fucking super strong athlete who has like 2 things and that's all he's got.
Yeah.
And he gets away with it for so long. There's back in the day, there was a fighter from the UFC, not jiu-jitsu related at all, but just analogy. And he was, maybe 3-4 fights total in the UFC that he jumped in there and he would just be so angry, so tense, but hit so fucking hard. And he'd rocked a few people. But then once people were like, oh, I'll just weather that storm, it was game over for that guy. And his tense, angry, I got this one-trick pony guy, that shit don't happen no more. His career in UFC, I don't even know if he fights anymore. But,
well, that's all. I mean, you got to adapt, right? I mean, or otherwise.
I mean, if you made it that far, you should have adapted already. Like, you shouldn't have had the opportunity.
For him, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I'm just talking about anybody on the mats, the hobbyists, anybody. If they don't start adapting, if they don't start changing, they're going to be those people we were talking about 10 minutes ago who aren't going to stick around, right?
And then you have the other type of people that are the opposite of that. When they're very familiar their first day with everybody, like an old friend, used car salesman trying to sell themselves, and they tell you all the things they're going to do and what they plan on doing. They don't last.
Yeah, I work in the office here too, and anytime anybody comes through the door and says they want to be a fighter, it's like, okay, I'm never going to see this person again. Or I'll see them for a couple months, but then they're gone, and they're not moving on to a school where they're going to learn to be a fighter. They just stop, they're done.
They like the idea of the walkout music and the cheering and the fans.
Yeah.
And them getting their hand raised, and they're like, because they watch the fights, they're like, oh, just knock that guy out, bro. Wow. You know, people that I grew up with saw like me fighting, like MMA, and they're like, bro, you got to work on your boxing. I'm like, which fight? Which one that I won that I needed to work on my boxing? The one that I won, or that one? Because I didn't really use any boxing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to work on my boxing. I wasn't trying to box. You know, I was trying to drag this asshole to the floor and finish him and prove a point. So those, those are the type of people that come in. They go, yeah. They watch the fight and go, that guy needs to learn how to box. I would have knocked him out. And then they go and take a jiu-jitsu class and they're like tied up, and like, what the fuck? This shit sucks, man. This is way harder than the video game, No cheat codes here, buddy. And those are the same guys that go, yeah, but I got my I got my carry. I would have fucking blasted that motherfucker. Congrats, you would have killed somebody.
Yeah. Why the change to 10th Planet over the years? I there's obvious reasons, but what for you? What intrigued you most about that?
I was already at the gym. There was a Thai boxing gym. It was Bomb Squad, and it was across the street from my house. And I had him in training jiu-jitsu at Hickson's for a little bit. When I moved to New York, I moved from New York to LA for about 3 years or so. I was training at Hickson's, and I had him going because they made some changes at the gym I didn't like. And I was like, well, I'm still the customer, man. Like, I'm not doing this, and I'm not paying for a belt promotion. I'm not paying for your instructors to teach seminars at their own gym. Like, I'm not doing it. And this seems real shady. So fix it or I'm out. And I got a lot of like, don't say that. I'm like, bye. So I left. And the guys there that I was friends with, like, I can't believe. I'm like, no, don't. You should have all took a stand with me and made some changes here. We're not a karate school. We don't do belt promotions that you pay for. Like, you guys could all get your black belt. I'll keep my blue belt. And we'll see. We'll see. And so I didn't like it. And so I went over the Bomb Squad. I was there when Bomb Squad first opened. I actually helped them paint the gym. I don't remember if I was just walking by or I met someone who like was a part owner. He invited me. I just was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll help you guys. I painted the gym and did some other shit. And then I had been there a few months and they kept asking me about jiu-jitsu. I'm like, I'm not qualified. I just know jiu-jitsu, but I was a blue belt. And they brought up some names. And then they brought in Eddie Bravo. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know he had just tapped Hoyler. And he did. And I was really like, well, you're my coach, so I'll do what you say. Egos. It's very a sponge, just keeping very open-minded and going, okay, teach me. And then you start to develop your own style and things you like, don't like.
What was your first impression of Eddie? I don't remember. I had no idea. I don't think it was negative or positive. It was just like, oh, that's my coach. And, he would tell a lot of funny stories and be all stoned all the time. But he's very good at jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
And I just, and mop me up, and I would be like, I want to. And I didn't feel like he was that much bigger than me. I was like, damn, man, I got to learn this kind of shit.
Yeah, he was more or less your size, right? I think he was 65. You were 55, right? Something like that.
Yeah. He might have been heavier at one point. He goes up and down. Right now, I don't know.
Yeah.
He was pretty stocky, but
yeah.
I think he might have competed at 65 and older, or maybe he made it to 45 for the trials. Because I know he went against Alan Teo, who was out of Henzo's in New York, and then a couple other guys. Alan was an old training partner of mine, so I knew who it was. Like later on, I saw the whole thing, and I was like, "Oh shit, you went against Alan?" And tell the story how he fake coughed and fake choked, so Alan squeezed really hard, but he was fine, and Alan got tired, and he. But I thought he was interesting, but I don't really have a negative or positive memory of first, like, he walked in the door. I don't remember that. It was probably just like, yo, you think this, like, the owner's like, this guy's a black belt. That I was like, cool. I was there first day. Started doing 2 classes a day. wanted to teach all the classes I could when he started allowing me. Like, yo, you got this? Because I showed up so much. And I was like super excited to teach class because I would always be like coaching and doing shit. Now that I'm like, shut up. Like I'll be like coaching someone, and another student's like, yeah, but you could also do this. So make sure you turn
you
this
were
way.
that guy, huh?
But I showed up to all the tournaments, and I always coached, and all 95% of the classes Eddie wasn't there. I was the teacher from the early days. So, it was good because it made me get better because I had I felt a responsibility to others to articulate what I had learned.
Was that important to you, having that responsibility, taking care of other people?
Yeah. I still like it. I go way out of my way and communicate with people at the gym or even former students to help them with things. I'm not the old school instructor where obviously, but there's that old like mystique around the instructor. Like you should be happy they remember your name, or they acknowledged you, they spoke to you. Like there's that old.
You talked about empathy a while back, mid conversation, and it becomes more and more visible that the meaning of that in your life has changed over the course of your life, of course, over the time. It went almost it feels like from black to white. Like it you care a lot about students, at least what you're explaining now, versus what was at the beginning. It was kind of, I don't give a shit attitude.
They weren't my students, and they were just people, and I was at my gym to do what I wanted to do. And if you're gonna fuck off, you're gonna be stupid, you're gonna do shit that I'm gonna call you on it, and just get the fuck out. But at the same time, I wasn't thinking numbers. I was like, oh fuck, I just cost Eddie money.
Yeah.
There'd probably be a better way to work this out, more diplomatic way to work these things out. Now, there were situations where Eddie would be like, Einstein. I'm like, you want me to get rid of him? He's like, yeah. Because Eddie didn't want confrontation at all. And I'm like, here we go.
So you are the muscle, huh?
Fuck out of the gym. It was just like, get out.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like muscle. It sounds like we just see. Right?
And if they look at me all like, no, I'm gonna, stop it. And I'm like, okay, no one in this class is to train with so-and-so. He's not a member of the gym anymore. He broke these rules and he's out. Get the fuck out. Or I don't know, if you want to sit there and watch, feel free, but then you're going to be trespassing. And other things can happen. And so it would be, but, so he knew I was willing to do that. And I don't think he minded if people were dickheads. And I did tell him to fuck off, or I did chase him out of the gym in a sense. But now, it's, if it was someone else's business now, I understand, and I would do my best to try to help. Versus, and you don't know the people's issues or problems. Obviously, if someone's, walking in the women's room, like, let me see your titties every class, you're gonna be like, yo, dude, fuck out of here, bro. You can't. What the hell's wrong with you? Like, that's never happened. Right? That's never happened. I'm just saying, like, yeah, that fuckhead can't be there.
Well, there are things that we can resolve, and there are things that are just crossing the lines and they are not acceptable, and that just is what it is. Yeah.
If there was like a Paul Harris in my gym, goodbye. I get a leg lock and not let go, and people are tapping. Still, we have to pry them off. Like, are you on? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
If there's someone purposely, like, sometimes you got like younger people that do it because they don't understand. Like, they don't understand the outcome of like damaging someone that has to now not train for so long and maybe get surgery. I could see that happening with the younger people.
I just saw
they don't get it.
I had a reel come up on Instagram, and it was a guy who was saying he had like he's a young guy. He's got a bucket list already because his sister passed away. And one of the things he wanted to do was try a jiu-jitsu class. And I forget who he went in with, but the guy had never trained. He did a couple minutes where he showed him, everything you would in an orientation class, break falls, hip escapes and stuff. And then they sparred. And the first thing he did was a heel hook, right? A black belt on this kid who's, 20-something guy. And everybody in the comments was like, he should know better. Why would you do that to somebody who doesn't know anything? And I was, I was in agreement with that. Like, why would you do that? There's a million ways you can show somebody, what jiu-jitsu is all about without doing that and potentially really damaging them. But how many chances do you give people? We just had a guy in here the other day that somebody from another gym saw and was like, you don't want this dude here. You know, you got to tell him, you don't want this guy. So, I mean, I don't know how many how, you know, is it one strike rule? What is it for you?
The example you gave doesn't resonate, because I'm like, if you're a black belt putting in first timer in a heel hook, hold it, let go. Don't twist it. Don't finish it. Just let them know, hey, you put this here and here's what could happen. There's a story I like to tell. It was a woman, not a girl, a woman, who was a blue belt maybe, or a purple belt, who came into my gym, a local chick, trained at whatever gym locally. And, you know, she rolled with me and I just doing goofy shit to her, you know. And I wrist locked her from like whatever guard or something. I don't know what it was. I wrist locked her and she looked at me and she rolled her eyes and goes, really? Really? A wrist lock? Really? And I was like, why don't you defend it? And she's like, what? And why'd you defend it? And she just looks at me. I was like, because you don't know how to. Because no one put you in a fucking wrist lock.
Mm-hmm.
So, really? Really? You know? And I go, look, if someone's trapping your elbow here and they put the hand here, here's what you do. I go, can I wrist lock you now? I'm trying. I'm like, you're welcome. So if you keep things from people, one day, you know, shit could hit the fan. So so the story you gave, because it's a black belt doing it, unless he's a dick that hurt the guy, you know, sometimes you got a meathead that needs that because you don't want him in your gym anyway, you know? Like, he's like, people who's got bloody
Natural
noses,
selection, right?
cut eyes, people got ice packs from the one Tasmanian devil that came to class the first time. You know, like, what the fuck is wrong with this dude? And that's also why I don't let him train the first day. I tell them that my students won't hurt them. I go, they're going to hurt themselves. They're going to understand logically. You're in this position and you can't physically move from this point to this point. You know you can't do it. It's going to hurt if you try. But someone's nutsack's on your forehead and you're like, fuck it, I'm going. And then you're like, oh, I got hurt there. What happened? Oh, yeah. Okay. You know you can't physically. Yeah, but this guy, and I'm like. So at least, you know, you have an understanding a little better of your body mechanics. And, okay, I can't do that when there's no one there. Why would I try that when someone's sitting on me?
I get it. Yeah, for sure.
Scott, we've been at this for over an hour. Before we start
Yes.
wrapping this up slowly,
I have so many stories to tell.
well, hold on, because what we have for you is a question from our previous guest, but he didn't know that you're going to be answering. So think about it as question completely in blind, and Gary's going to take a lead on that. It always creates an interesting end to the conversation.
So this
Why
is a pretty.
Are you gay?
Yeah.
What a Nigerian guy who's like, why?
Do you have an uncle
gay?
named Steve? Is the question. So this is from Heather Morgan, who was our last guest. So not a he, but a she. Heather Morgan wants to know who inspired your game the most. So a pretty standard question, but could lead to some interesting stuff.
I mean, I would. Well, portions of my game are going to be Eddie, my coach. But some of the things that I'm like really proficient in are not things that technically that he gave me, but and I don't know where. I think it was just my personality, you know. So I don't know.
What's the biggest thing? What's the biggest thing you learned from Eddie? Pinpoint one thing. A lesson that will never go away.
I'm trying to articulate and make it as short as possible, without giving examples. But I guess just to be very open-minded, very open to all things grappling. If this thing works, and I've never seen it before, and I can't figure out how to pick it apart with ease, then fucking use it. It doesn't matter who brought it in. It could be a Kempo guy with, you know, sticky hand fighting as his whole career, and comes in and doesn't know any jiu-jitsu and did something, and I'm like, and majority of places that I've ever dealt with, and probably majority out there, if the coach didn't say to do it, it's wrong, and that doesn't allow growth. The consistent evolution of jiu-jitsu is thrown out because you have a coach who's like, what I say is golden rule, and that's it, and we can't grow. There's stuff that Eddie taught me that I do differently, and he knows I do it differently, and he'll like say, oh, that's the Einstein way, like try it that way, it might work better for you. Where good luck with like other coaches being like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's rare. Maybe
Well,
more
that's not the first
Americanized
time.
ones, maybe. Huh?
Well, that's not the first time that we've talked to somebody who's trained under or with Eddie who said that, that if he sees something from anybody, any rank, anybody who's been training for any amount of time that looks interesting, he's going to be open to it and, and pass it along or learn it, first and then pass it along.
Yeah. And I think that trickled into, well, maybe it's just my way. Maybe it has nothing to do with him, but it's okay to not know. It's okay for the head guy not to know.
Well, and that's one of the big things, I think, in coaching and instruction, not only jiu-jitsu, but that humbleness of just admitting the fact that you might not be the best, you might not know everything, you hold a certain expertise, but it does not make you the best of all, right? I mean, it's that really what shows the humbleness in what we do. Yeah, I've had stuff that I asked someone who's like at the time, or still is, probably like a more accomplished grappler. Younger dude, really good at leg locks. And I saw the opportunity when he was sparring. I go, why don't you do that? And his answer was like, that doesn't really work. From there, they can do this and this. And I was like, okay. I go, but if they do this, then it will work. He's like, no, it doesn't. I'm like, okay, forget it.
Yeah.
He's like, yes. You could have done that thing. The answer is not, it does not work. The answer could have been, I'd rather do this. I'm better at this. Mm-hmm. But they couldn't. They wouldn't say that. There's a lot of, still to this day, there's a lot of guys that are, black belts and that if they don't know what you're doing, they roll their eyes at it more than go, what is that? How do you do that? But there's also a lot of guys that are like, let me see that, do that again. Oh. And then you start playing with it with them, Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's just a personality thing, but those concepts are, based on like going from like a bow to your sensei gym, to fucking punk rock a jiu-jitsu gym. Mm-hmm. But that's really what separates instructors from the others, right? I mean, there's levels, right, to all of this. Yeah, there's definitely. I mean, it doesn't mean you can't have an amazing instructor who is very much be silent, bow to me, don't question what I say. Well, what they plenty of people come out of plenty of gyms, that they do great. There's plenty of guys that are super accomplished, that kill it, that are from other states and barely come and train under Eddie. And then there's those guys that have their students that are fucking just doing their thing and don't come to HQ and maybe never even train with Eddie. But it's strength in numbers. The more worldwide people you have under your umbrella of gyms, the more likely you are to have superstars. Like, people would always go on about like Henzo's gym in New York. I'm like, well, Henzo has like 3,000 students in that one gym. So the odds are in their favor to pull out a few superstars. And some of their biggest superstars are guys that have like trained under other people in other places, and they just come in there once in a while. They're not even like, that's not even grassroots for them. Not that it's just, you have strength in numbers. You have a lot more people and a lot more people to pick out of who's going to go far. You could be the best coach in the world, most accomplished grappler in the world, but have 50 students and no one does shit. Is that because you're a bad coach? or you have someone who's not even close to as accomplished, but they got, 3,000 students. Not saying that I'm not using Henzo here.
Yeah.
You're not
I'm just
saying.
saying.
Yeah, you're just
I'm
saying.
comparing
The odds
numbers.
are, right? Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to gamble, you know. Yeah.
So what's for you
go on.
next? What's for you next? What's the future hold like?
I don't know. In the world of jiu-jitsu, I have no desire to ever compete again. I don't care. I do want to always get better. I see little things, I make adjustments, really just to keep going and not be hurt.
Is that the
Not get
goal today,
injuries.
these days, as we get a little bit older? I mean, I'm right behind you.
Yeah.
Not getting hurt is that a primary focus for us?
Yeah. What the fuck? Like, you want to go have fun, man.
What's the other one? No.
But now you're more hyper aware, and I've my style in jiu-jitsu has changed greatly for multiple reasons, but it's become more of what I always assumed jiu-jitsu should be, like a lot of transitioning and very loose, and one move to the next, versus I got to sit here and hold on as tight as possible and fight for this one thing that I want to finish with.
Yeah.
And I'll keep going, and keep going. And it's like, all right, dude, do something else. I mean, maybe a competition, that's fine, if that's what you want to do. But it looks a lot cooler that you had the armbar, they moved a little bit, you transferred a triangle, you went back to the armbar, maybe they got out, you spun under it. And you could have got any of those other three. You spun under and you wound it up in a fucking knee bar or something. That's much cooler. That's a highlight right there. And that's more fun to do. And, it's just, I want to be more efficient with my energy and more like a bag of wet fucking noodles than a brick, Because the brick is where you're going to get the injuries.
That's where you're going to get hurt.
It's not as
That's
fun.
where you're going to get hurt, right?
I got your back. I have the rear naked choke. You're doing well defending it. Okay, can I keep fighting for the last 30 seconds to finish, or a minute to finish this choke? And then, I tap my purple belt. What do you fucking do? Who cares? But I had that arm bar, and I switched over, and now I have that bicep slicer, and then I tapped the bicep slicer. They didn't even feel coming on. And I did it with so much more energy efficiency. That's fucking fun. Those flowy, loose styles are way more exciting to me than just, the Division I wrestler who took you down, held you, squeezed, and did some like weird ass arm triangle that probably shouldn't have worked. And they're like, yeah, cool. But yeah, I like things to be a lot more loose and flowing now. I got tension in me, and I don't feel the need to win. I don't care. If it could be like some, former football player, like, not that this happened, but it could be, 6'3", 260-pound monster of an athlete who doesn't know much, jumps on a straight ankle lock with all their force. Before I feel anything, I will tap. I will tap. They're probably going to break my toes just by squeezing so hard. They're probably not even going to do the ankle lock. But I don't have to go to the doctor to get an x-ray later.
Yeah.
And if that deters anyone from training with a coach who's like that, who has proven themselves, and they're good. But you tap them. You need to look at. I tell everyone, look at Freddie Roach. He's not getting the ring boxing with anyone. Look at Freddie Roach. That's all. He don't need to go in there. He knows what he knows, and he can help you learn. And I'm sure if you put the gloves on with one of his decent fighters, he's gonna get lit up. He's got like Parkinson's or some shit like.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, right. So I'm
well, as we get older, as we get older as instructors, right, our power of assistance, our power of help to our students is more inside our head than the physicality, right? So like being able to map things out, being able to see things, being able to transition between things, and really having a deeper understanding how mechanically body works and how we can take advantage of it. This is where we can really be helpful, right, for those who do want to grow.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 You know, it's simple, boring things that I show newer people or people that even like have some experience. So I'm like, the reason why I know you're going for things and the reason why you know I'm going for things before they happen is, yes, partially because it's happened to you a bunch if they're not super new, but also there's tells. And this is valuable, what I'm going to say to you guys right now. Like, really valuable. Probably one of the more important things. When you're going to attack in some form or even escape, there's a tendency to hold the breath. I go.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, I go. So I'll go in front of a full room of people. I'll do this at seminars. And I put them in Kimura. They're on their side. I'm sitting on their head. And I go, okay, when you feel I'm going to move, relax, just hold. You got a grip? You're tight? Okay, they're holding their grip. Okay, when you feel I'm about to take this from you, I need you to react immediately. Because I'm going to show everyone how quickly I can get this from you. And then I go, okay, so as soon as they can't see me, I go, just close your eyes, just feel. And I do the 1, 2, 3. And they always block it. And they're like, ooh, and everyone's like, ooh. I'm like, hold on. I don't say nothing. And then I go, okay. So whenever I'm going to do it, and I do it again, they rock. And then I go, what was the difference? And they say all kinds of dumb shit. I go, think about what was the difference. What let you know? And they're like, oh, I could feel your body tensing up. And then why didn't you block that last one? They're like, I didn't feel any tension. And that's because I was exhaling before I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And so as simple, as goofy as that may sound, people don't get it. I've taught plenty of places and there's black belts just like, that's so stupid and so right, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And being able to exhale. I don't even say breathing, just exhale in motion. You're passing, you're shooting, you're defending. It doesn't give up the tells that something's happening. And even someone who doesn't know much, they'll tense up because they feel you tense up. And they don't even realize they did it. You know? If I cock back to hit someone, and I'm like, they're going to... If I go, hey, man, pop, the fuck?
On that note, I think we should wrap this up. This isn't
What the fuck?
Scott, listen, this was phenomenal conversation. I do appreciate you being here after all the technical difficulties we had, but two, your story is quite amazing, and I really appreciate you sharing all the wisdom, all the thoughts, all your experience. Your life was amazing, and I'm looking forward to seeing where you get from here, Gary.
Yeah,
I'm surprised I made it this long. I took Benadryl. So I'm like super like slow.
The moment we hang up, you're gonna be out.
Yeah,
my quick wits are not really there. Like my
if this
funny
is you on
jokes,
Benadryl, man, we got to do another one when you're sober. Yeah.
No one's gonna understand. The New York accent's gonna be super thick, and I'm gonna talk super fast. My heart rate's gonna go up.
No, it's great. I appreciate you doing this. We screwed up a week or so ago, and we had a ton of technical difficulties, and you stuck it out.
Didn't screw up. How did you screw up?
As soon as we said our goodbye last time, I told Thomas this Scott's gonna be the guy that's like, fuck those guys and not come back. So I do really appreciate it so much that you did stick it out, and then not feeling well on top of it, man. So
I gotta do my coke.
Thank you. There you go. That'll clear you up.
There you clear you up. Listen, if anybody wants to find you or anybody wants to connect with you after this episode, where are you at? Are you on social media websites? Where are you
I'm
at?
all over social media. I think I check the most, and I'm pretty responsive. Unless it's just dumb shit, I just don't say anything. On Instagram, the 10PWLA, 10th Planet West LA, 10, the number 10, 10PWLA. On Instagram, there's a bunch of different Facebook groups and faces. I don't know, just type in Epstein, Einstein, 10th Planet. I'm not like super on those, but a lot of stuff from Instagram transfers over and it's just there.
Yeah.
There is a YouTube channel that I put longer form techniques on. It's less, obviously it's YouTube, so it's going to be more technical shit. Once in a while, I get into like my little rants about something that happened, like I just talked about, like I'll drive and I'll just record. I'm able to like talk,
Verbalize.
I think, better when I'm driving, and if it comes out whack, I turn it off, do it again. But yeah, so I'll have little, like, there's, I was talking about like students that interrupt the class to ask unrelated questions,
You got those too, huh?
and ruin it for everyone. Oh, I just did a seminar and some guy like was like, while I'm trying to teach, like right after I teach technique, he's like, yeah, but what if the guy does this? And I'm like, well, that's a whole nother series, my friend. Like, but you're so focused on that other thing right now that you didn't do the thing I just taught you.
You just missed the whole thing. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he's doing it, but where's your arm? Your hand needs to be here. You need to be pulling this way. Post up on that foot. Get off your knee. The reason he can do that is because you're on your knee and your hands aren't right. And the look of like, disdain, and I was like, hey, this guy's money back. Get him out of my fucking seminar. I don't need this here. And so I went on a whole thing, but it just in class, because people take time away from everyone else because they made it about them and only them. And it's like, look, you got a bunch of people in this room that don't know any of this, and they are trying to focus on just this and get the practice and reps and make it second nature to them. And you're wandering off somewhere else, and you're not even doing this right. You're not even doing the fucking thing right, and you're worried about all these counters. Like,
again.
So and so I go on little rants about these things when I'm not on there talking about the war in Israel, like or Gaza or whatever. I'm like, it's jiu-jitsu related shit.
It's jiu-jitsu.
Well, we'll make sure to put the links to your YouTube and all
right.
the social media in the show notes. So if you guys want to connect with Scott and watch some of his stuff, feel free to do it. So we'll make sure to do that.
I will respond. And a lot of times I used to do a Q&A on Fridays where people can write in their questions or send me a recording of a question, which is better for me. I got his arm here and he does this versus, when the guy has this in 90 degrees and then isosceles triangle, I'm like, what? Just show me the fucking thing. And then I would, just respond to their questions on Instagram and make a whole video. So people can feel free to ask me specific questions or send me videos, after you ask. And I'll respond to it. I don't mind. Like, and it's not like, now you owe me money. I don't fucking care. I really don't. Just show me if it's something super simple, then I may not do a video response to it, but usually. So if you DM the 10th Planet West LA, I'll see it.
Cool.
All
right, man.
All right, Scott. Let's wrap this up for today. Thanks again for being here, and we'll be watching from sidelines as things unfold in 10th Planet West LA.
Cool, man. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure, guys.
Thank you.
Later.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to RŌL Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.